We are live yet again. Wrestle Purist live, hosted by myself and backup Hangman. A lot of news to get in today. We're going to talk AEW Dynamite. We're going to talk NXT as well. On top of the news. But yeah, man, first things first, please like, subscribe, send super chats. Any questions, any takes you want to get in, we will read them out, of course. Just keep it active in the live chat as well. And turn on the post notifications as well. Always appreciated. First things first, hope everyone's doing well. Starting with my fellow co-host, Ibu. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. Happy to be here.
Happy days. Keeping it short and sweet today, I see. We're going to start with NXT. Good show, Ibu. Yeah, of course, when you came backstage into the stream yard before we went live, you seemed very happy with the NXT show you saw last night. They're putting together some pretty good shows at the moment. They're picking up good momentum. People are putting over Shawn Michaels on the timeline. I'm seeing memes and edits of him being awarded Booker of the Year already. But yeah, like I said, a lot of momentum they're picking up, and another good show last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're on a bit of a streak right now.
They are.
They're on a bit of a streak right now. Starting to get a little impressed.
A little impressed.
Yeah, they're finding.
I was a little impressed a couple of weeks ago, though. I think they're kind of flying at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah.
Perception's moving.
The perception is changing. They're getting main roster stars to get the attention in, and a lot of fun matches on these TVs. So yeah, I thought it was a nice episode. Very nice. The main event was great, like just straight up great. So,
absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, they're doing some things down there.
They are. Sean, he's cooking up down there. And it was quite the opener, wasn't it? When you start any show with an Ilya Dragunov singles match, especially when it's with someone of the caliber of Wesley. And they had a really strong opener. Of course, this was a number one contenders match for Carmelo Hayes' NXT title for a match at No Mercy later this month. And like I just said, really good opener, wasn't it?
Ilya Dragunov doesn't have bad wrestling matches,
He doesn't.
He really doesn't. He's an absolute psychopath. And Wesley's good. So, yeah, this was a contender match for Carmelo Hayes at No Mercy. And it's the right way to start a show off, man. You if you're a new fan tuning in, you want to get Ilya Dragunov right in front of the audience as soon as possible because he's just physical, he's dynamic, he's ultra consistent. And he'll do a good job convincing people on just the validity of your product. So, yeah, I thought this was very good. That German suplex that Dragunov gave Wesley
holding him up
onto the announce table was psychopathic. So
man. Ilya Dragunov is just like you said. You've already said it. He doesn't have bad wrestling matches. It doesn't matter who you try to throw at him to make him have one. he'll pull something off. He's as he said himself on Busted Open, I believe it was yesterday. He's an artist. Interestingly as well from that Busted Open interview was he seems pretty content with just doing what he's doing at the moment, and he said himself he's in no rush right now and he's happy with the journey that he's on, and yeah, he's not really like in any sort of panic or rush to get onto the main roster, even though many of his fans are indeed doing exactly that.
Yeah, he speaks like a guy with CTE, so he's a true wrestler. He just almost just like artsy, what are you waffling about type of way, and he's just like, the journey is the journey, and if I know the journey,
read the quote out.
Sure, go for it.
The surprise of life in all this journey is the most precious thing to me, because if I could know everything, it would just be goal after goal after goal. That's not what art is all about. This business is performance art, and I'm an artist. God bless. That's the content I like to hear, Ibu.
Yeah, I don't any of that meant, but he's a great wrestler, so keep it up. Keep it up, Billy.
If that's what you got to come out with to remain a great wrestler, I can rock with it, Ibu. I can rock with it. But yeah, Ilya Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes, number 2. Do you think Carmelo Hayes, do you think he's got it in him to beat Ilya twice, or do you think that's... I feel like nobody beats Ilya twice, you know.
I wonder what they're gonna do here because they're doing a rematch, it appears. But I still don't. I'm not fully convinced West isn't gonna get added to the mix in some respect. And then they're doing this Trick Williams story where it's like Melo needs Trick to win the match, to beat Dragunov, and it's like, is Trick Williams gonna turn on Carmelo Hayes? Because at first I thought they were doing the peaceful break.
No.
They keep lingering back with those two, and I'm not sure what that's for and where that's.
It's good vibes last night, though. There was no like
Yeah.
animosity or anything last night between them when they interacted.
No, but I got a weird feeling. I just got a weird feeling about all of that.
But yeah. I'm assuming you're looking forward to it. Hayes, you're a big fan of. Ilya Dragunov, everyone's a big fan of who's seen him wrestle. So
yeah, Ilya Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes was probably the best match of Melo's career. Ilya Dragunov has a penchant for giving guys their best match, and I mean, it's the rematch, so you'd assume it's big. It's going to be, even more explosive and more crazy. So, yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty tremendous. Dave gave the first one 4 3/4 stars, so he was super high on it. We'll see how this one turns out. I'm excited.
Elsewhere, we had Baron Corbin, Bron Breakker. Seems like they're really getting this feud or program that they're about to go into, really kicking it off last night. As everyone knows, Bron Breakker attempted murder on Von Wagner last week with the steps. Baron Corbin was on commentary for this, and he reacted hilariously. For those that remember, and he came to the ring to do a live promo to kind of address the situation. And he started off like really somber and talking slow, like it was, I can't believe what I saw. It was this crazy act, when he lifted up the steps and, and he's building it up, and Bron Breakker comes out to hear what he has to say.
Mm-hmm.
He's building it up, and he's like, I just didn't know what to. It was just freaking awesome, and they're both going back and forth, and they're popping each other, and Bron Breakker just puts a halt to it. He's like, I don't give a damn what you think of me. I'm not trying to impress you. I don't care about you. And they go back and forth. And Baron Corbin slaps Bron Breakker, and this there's this feeling in the crowd of like, oh, he's
shit. Yeah.
Break out into a brawl, security, and everyone gets involved, and going back and forth, etc., etc. And I'll be honest, I'm afraid to say that Baron Corbin and NXT, it's working for me, and this was a good way to kind of get the program properly kicked off between the two. It had a little bit of humor. Bron Breakker had like a legitimate gripe of like he doesn't give a damn what about Baron Corbin's validation, etc., etc. And egos clashed, and the brawl broke out, and it felt like he didn't feel like horseshit, did it, bro?
Yeah, the actual execution of the angle was pretty well done.
It was.
There was some jeopardy and chaos, and Braun looks like a grown fucking man in there, trying to rip through security and stuff. Regarding Corbin, I'm not a Baron Corbin fan. They moved him to NXT, and the best I could say is it hasn't been negative television. Like when he's on Raw, like you're almost encouraged to fast forward, and I wouldn't say he's on that level in NXT. But at the same time, I'm not actively clamoring for Baron Corbin matches, especially on pay-per-view. But I obviously within the company, it's like he's a main roster wrestler, so you got to give him something. To be honest with you, I think that the layout of this should be Braun killing him on pay-per-view. To be honest, Monty, I think this should be legit, like a 1 minute match. They're not gonna do that. They're gonna make them go back and forth for a few minutes. Braun should genuinely like kick out at the end of Days at 1, and then just like fucking suplex him, stretch him, give him the spear, and give him the Steiner recliner, and just finish him off. But as a segment, this was a lot of fun, man. Corbin being all somber and being like, "Oh man, what he did," and then the big swerve, and Braun's kind of hamming it up with him too. But yeah, Braun's current character being this tough guy, badass who like isn't on anybody's side. It's great. I think it has legs on the main roster. And to be frank with you, Monty, I think if he had even a fraction of the television time that like Grayson Waller and Austin Theory are currently getting, he'd do like much more in those roles because he's just super fun and dynamic right now to watch.
His promos and everything as a heel, look, it just works. It just all works, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It all works, man. Big fans. We've been big fans for a while now, and ever since he's turned heel, it's just like it's another. It's taken to another level, you know. Um, Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. We had a team Drew Gulak match, you know, against Briggs Brooks and Miles Bourne. Ibu was reminding me before we went live that Miles Bourne is the very bright talent in the NXT PC who also happens to be deaf, and apparently he's coming along very well. And this was a nice little short 6-man tag. And Miles Bourne unfortunately turned at the end. He's been friends with Briggs Brooks and Fallon Henley lately, and he's been getting close to Fallon Henley. Maybe some romance in the air. They've been hinting at, it seems. And and in this match he turned back to Team Gulak, and he seemed conflicted. I don't know if you caught this or not, but that's what went down.
Yes, he's in the Orlando Combat Club. So
the Orlando Combat Club.
There you go. Yeah, this is a cool little sprint. What's this guy's name? Brooks Jensen does a running leg lariat or spinning mixed with a spinning heel kick, and it was quicker, sharper, and stiffer than most of those. Like he decapitated whoever he hit with this thing. It's something I took note of, and I think him and Josh Briggs are becoming pretty solid little workers in their own right. Yeah, just solid stuff. Yeah. Just solid undercard stuff,
Yeah, man. We had also Laura Valkyria versus Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke seems to be getting quite a bit of heat down in NXT, which is hilarious. But did you see the Eddie Thorpe Dijak segment, Ibu?
Yeah, Dijak was cutting a promo, Thorpe was cutting a promo, and then Dijak appears on the screen to whip his tree, and he's just like, marking my territory.
What tree? Like, I don't get what was going on. Like, Dijak just Eddie Thorpe's just got in a promo and the screen just comes on and Dijak's there.
That was some good wrestling crap. The thing is, he pulls off his belt, and I'm like, is he about to piss on his tree? Because he's like, I'm gonna mark my territory. He's pulling his belt off. I'm like, oh, he's gonna piss on his tree. He starts whipping, and I'm like, that doesn't hurt the tree. Dijak.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
And Eddie Thorpe is just sitting there watching it, and he's just kind of
he's selling it.
Yeah,
Eddie Thorpe's there, and then the screen goes up, and the interviewer's like about to ask himself, he's like, oh, I gotta save this for another time. Like he's fully distraught about it. It was quite the 30 seconds or so. But anyway, talking to trees, the schism seems to be falling apart, and Joe Gacy seemed to relate this to a rotting tree or something. And again, another confusing tree segment. Even I don't know if you caught that one.
Yeah, it looks like GYV is leaving WWE, and they just remembered it, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And they're ending Schism, which fine by me. They're awful stable, and they led to bad television. So there you go.
Before we continue with this quick NXT recap, we're going to go through a few super chats. Keep on coming, people. Any questions, any takes, anything like that, and we'll get through them as soon as we can. Jacob Donnelly, $5. Appreciate you very much. Interesting to see the reaction to Becky beating Tiffany. Either people like it or absolutely hate it. Yeah, we're definitely going to get to that kind of discourse around it when we get to the match later on. But yeah, it's been very interesting. To put it politely, Jacob. Arm Dragon, $5. Appreciate it. If you think NXT has real graps now, wait till Brian Pillman Jr. makes his debut. We're ready. We're ready, Arm Dragon. I know Ibu is. He's a big fan. Mazfan84, $1.99. Appreciate it. Only 4 matches tonight. Which match is going long? When I looked at the card, and our very own Chris O'Brady tweeted something like maybe Roddy and Samoa Joe are going to a time limit draw. But when you actually look at the matches, I think all of the matches will get time collectively. Like Samoa Joe, Roderick Strong isn't going to be a short one. Hangman Adam Page versus Brian Cage, that's not going to be a short one either. Moxley versus Big Bill, I reckon that'll be longer than your typical like 8, 9, 10 minute Mox match on Dynamite. And I think the women will get time in the tag match as well. So I think all of them collectively will get a nice bit of time, and that's why we're only seeing 4 matches. Like there isn't a Moxley against an underneath guy, or there isn't a squash match or anything like that in the 4 matches, you know. So that's kind of my take on it. But I don't know about you.
I think everybody's overthinking it. They're just going to announce another match in like a couple hours, probably.
You think?
Probably.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either. But as the card is at the moment, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
There's no match on this card that needs to be longer than 20 minutes long. None.
Not.
You know,
Even as much we love Samoa Joe and Roddy, but 20 minutes in there with Roddy, Samoa Joe might not even make it to the end, brother. You know,
I saw people suggesting time limit draw, bro. Any minute past 16 that Roddy and Joe goes makes the match worse, because Joe's just gonna get tired.
Roddy puts a pace on brothers, you know.
Yeah.
And I love Samoa Joe. Genuinely one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Like he's the top 3 favorite wrestlers of all time. But the big man, he's not out there to go Broadway, brother. You know, he's not you said anything over around 15, 16 minutes, especially someone who pushes the pace like Roddy, bro. Like he could get a bit sticky, but so Zayd Natty 499, appreciate you very much. Roman is one of my 4 all-time favorites, greatest champ of my lifetime. But if he beats Cody at WrestleMania 40, we're gonna start a dialogue. The part-time status equals shit emoji.
We should start the dialogue now.
It's kind of brutal because, in hindsight, it does kind of feel like Cody should have beat him at Mania, even with the really hot period that they went into post-Mania with Roman, because I was saying this at the time, I'll say it again now, and I was saying it before he even beat Cody. Everything that he'd done that was so hot after Mania, he didn't need the belt for. He did not need the belt for. Like, even up until the singles title match that he worked with Jey Uso, the big story going into that was that it was for the status of Tribal Chief. So he didn't necessarily need, and that was even the story coming out of it, because that's why Jimmy turned on Jey, because he didn't want him to become the Tribal Chief, not that he didn't want him to become the champion. Like, they didn't need the title for what Roman's done after Mania. And, with him being as part-time as he is, as the Super Chat says, it's pretty brutal. He hasn't been advertised for the Royal Rumble that has been announced for Tampa Bay in Florida for next year, 2024 Royal Rumble. He's not on the advertising or anything yet. He may get added later on, but, not looking promising from the onset,
I think
it's
that's kind
tough.
of insane.
It's tough. And if he beats Cody at Mania 40, then my God.
Man. That's like drop the company level stuff, Because if he beats
a lot of people did last year. Well, this year, bro. I see. I don't know how many of them stuck to the word, but a lot of people were just like, I'm over this.
Yeah, and if he beats Cody, that means that they're going for Bruno's record, which is nasty.
The second one.
Yeah, like
the 2.
I think
2,000 days or something like that.
Bro, to break Bruno's, like, he'd have to go I want to say 2.5 more years at least. I think. But yeah, let's just not speak that into existence. Him possibly missing the Rumble is like really funny on some level. But yeah, I know Triple H has to hate this. Like he is definitely not a fan of this. So we'll see how this whole thing turns out.
Yeah, we'll see. Will Chisholm, $5, appreciate it. Is Wesley getting called up, or is it a storyline? Well, even if it is a storyline, that could still lead to the call up, I guess. Obviously, we'll when we continue with the NXT recap, we'll get all into that. Zayd Natty 199, appreciate it. Need Bryan versus Gunther, Dragunov, and Cody in 2024.
Bryan versus Bryan versus Gunther would be like pornographic,
Bryan would like make a. He's a sick man. That Bryan Danielson is. And if he got in there with Gunther, he would want to feel what a match with Gunther really feels like,
Mm-hmm. He would be like, I want you to please hit me as hard as you can to feel like, because that's his thing. That's what he does to feel alive. Yeah, I don't think that Bryan is leaving AEW, but
Neither do
but those 3 matches would be unbelievable.
Absolutely. Will Chisholm, appreciate your $5. What y'all think of Nick Khan? Non-answer to Punk question. I look at it as WWE might bring him in or might not in his Nick Khan way. Nick Khan is extremely. He's a PR veteran, you know. He knows what to say,
Yes.
when to say it. Slick Nick, as me and Ibu always call him. He's he was just a slick answer, you know. He gave an answer without really giving one, you know. So I don't know if you made anything of it, Ibu.
No, it's just Nick Khan being Nick Khan.
Yeah, just
diplomatic and vague.
yes. Will Chisholm, $2. Appreciate you again. NXT going to look nasty when AOP show up. Listen, I'm ready. Paul Ellering as well, brother.
Oh my
We're
god.
cooking. Big man tag teams have been dying out in this game, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't care if they're shitters at this point. If they got the look, you know, and they're serviceable, and you've got a good manager that can get them some heat and shit, I'm all in, brother. You know, I'm all in. I'm all in on AOP, man. I'm telling you. I'm ready for it. Brother AO, big AO, ruler AO, $2. Appreciate you. It's just me, Oos. Day one, it's just me, Oos. Agreed. Jey Uso's my god, man. Feeling like a big star now as well as the singles, you know. It's we're eating good. Karan, 100 rupees, appreciate you as always. First thing I saw of the Tish Strat. The first thing I saw of Tish Strat in this match, and she was awesome. Becky and her are going to run that back at a Mania at some point. I can feel it. They have really great chemistry. I can't wait to actually get into it a bit more. Massfan 84, 199, appreciate you. You see Dana run to. Did you see Dana run to UFC fan crossover? Thoughts? I believe that's just in reference to what you were saying about it. So,
that answer was hilarious.
Yeah, because Lawrence Epstein was trying to do his whole like just give his media answer, you know, and he's not as slick as Nick Khan, clearly. And he was like, you know, one day we hope that every WWE fan can be a UFC fan, and every UFC fan can be a WWE fan, and that's just being very unaware of what those fan bases are. You know, a lot of UFC fans that I know are not even remotely open to the idea of watching WWE, and there's more crossover the other way, but even still, you know. And Dana White, someone brought this up to Dana White after his Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series little press conference that he does, and he just blew it off. I think he said it was like the dumbest thing anyone's ever said or some shit. Like, I'm not a big Dana White fan. I haven't been for a long time, but that did pop me.
Bro, here's the thing about it. Like, I thought the quote was cringe, but it was just PR bullshit, and I just knew that Dana wasn't gonna play along. Like, bro, all this merger stuff, he doesn't give a shit about any of this, and you know it. And if he was allowed to say it, he would literally just say on screen, like on TV, I don't give a fuck about WWE, you know. But he can't because a lot of people would be mad. So he kind of has to just grit his teeth and do the photo ops. But he just wants to run his business his way without any interference. You know, partners are partners, but he just wants to do his own thing, right? And so it's so hilarious having them subjecting him to these types of questions. But yeah, fucking, what was I gonna say? He just doesn't care, you know, and he's not necessarily wrong, bro. Do you see how UFC? There's still like yes, there are some wrestling fans that like MMA. Right, but do you see the perception wrestling still has amongst like UFC people? It's still that early 2000s, like, it's fake and gay, and this is real, and like that. There's still that like UFC Giga Chad kind of section of the fan base that they don't give a shit, and they're not going to, and you're not going to force them to.
M1 Starwin, $5. Appreciate you very much. If AEW live tickets continue to be bad/mediocre in sales, at what point do they swallow their pride and book smaller venues until they get hot again? In terms of booking smaller venues, I think they should have been doing that like already. you know. So I have no idea when they're actually going to do it, because I think even now it would be overdue. But everything okay over there?
Yeah, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Well, my window was open and so sorry, don't mind me.
Yeah, like I said, I think they should have already done it. I'm not sure when they'd actually do it, because, like I said, I think it's already past its due date when they book some cool smaller venues, man. You haven't got to like do these big arenas all the time, like, especially if you're not even getting close to selling them out. You know?
Yeah, I agree. Have some fun with it. You know, I remember in early 2020, there were a lot of like really visually distinct dynamites. There was the Jericho Cruise one. We had the Homecoming one in Daly's place, which has a distinct look. They did that like Bash the Beach, like kind of beach like design for the show, and I want to say that was in Cleveland, which made it really funny. But the point is, AEW used to run smaller venues before their business exploded, and it led to some cool looking shows. And I think they should re-embrace that. You know, if you're gonna do 2,000 for TVs, then go to some places where that 2,000 looks really cool and unique.
Yeah, I agree. I agree as well. Will Chisholm, $5. Appreciate it. With the Endeavor deal, DLC WWE might work with other wrestling companies, not AEW, but maybe Impact or Japan or Mexico. If Nick Khan thinks it's the right business decision, then it wouldn't surprise me if he suggested it to Triple H and Vince, etc. But I don't know. You know, obviously they send NXT talent to Booker T's indie promotion, Reality of Wrestling, but you know that's not exactly groundbreaking or anything like that. But you know, maybe they'll get back to doing more of the crossover that they were doing, like on the network with, you know, like with Evolve and stuff like that. I don't know. What do you think, Ivo?
It really just depends on if Nick says sees the dollars and cents in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll choose him again. Appreciate you as always, brother. $5. With Vince kind of back, do you see him stopping Triple H to get the wrestlers he wants, or book like Kyrie and other talents?
I genuinely, I don't know. It's too early to tell, to be honest with you. It's way too early to have a definitive ruling on that one. I'm not sure.
Depends what mood he's in. Is my answer. All right, back to NXT. Let's go back to NXT.
Yeah.
Did you see Dominic Mysterio and Carmelo interacting again?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
This shit pops me, man, because Melo's like actually cool, you know, especially in like a wrestling sense.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Mysterio obviously being like the you know, kind of just the scrawny, just egotistical heel, you know. He thinks he's super cool, you know, and he's just, and they interact, and you know, we get a match out of it for next week. We're gonna get champion versus champion. The belts won't be on the line, but still, nonetheless, it looks good on a match graphic. And yeah, we're gonna get Melo versus Dominic Mysterio. What are you thinking on this one, bro?
A DQ.
DQ.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna be total versus total though, so
It's
you can beat Dom. You can fuck him. It's only Dom. Like, that's the beauty of Dom. Like, he's gonna keep his heat. You know, if he loses to Melo next week, he isn't gonna go out there on SmackDown and not get the booze he was getting. You know, like, it's Dom, man. He's gonna retain that heat. Becky Lynch was interacting with people backstage. Kiana James got in her face. She had a nice little UK heartwarming interaction with Laura Valkyria. What else did we have? Heritage Cup continues. We had Tyler Bate versus Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus Akira Tozawa. Two real nice matches. The Tozawa match with Frazier was pretty short, but still nice nonetheless. Would have expected
that
it to
was
go
trending that was trending towards being phenomenal.
Good, it's good stuff, bro. For what they did.
They thought this was Dragon Gate, and they're just hitting the ropes so violently and so fast, and doing all this kind of dynamic stuff to each other. And Tozawa did that headbutt dive. Man, I wish it got just like 5 more minutes. You know,
I think it got cut short, man. I think something must have
probably
gone over or something.
That's usually what happens. A lot of matches that kind of go really that level of abbreviated. Usually, that's what happens on live TV. And in the Tyler Bate one, Axiom and Tyler Bate are just such smooth technical wrestlers. You know, they're just such smooth technical wrestlers. And yeah, I mean that closing stretch, dude, where fucking you know, Bate was in a triangle choke, and then he lifted him up to go try to powerbomb him, and then he got hit with like a West Coast pop kind of Rana thing, and then Bate tried to. He went from that like what was it, that thing he does where he bounces off the ropes and does that lariat, right?
Yeah.
And he does that, and then the double underhook sit out power bomb. Just good stuff. Good stuff. I'm a big fan of both these guys. I think Axiom is one of the best wrestlers in the company, to be completely frank with you. He has a really nice look. I know people dunked on the Axiom gimmick when he first did it because like he had this really shitty. He had this really
even now, bro. It's like okay, but you know, he's just that good at wrestling. He's just kind of like, all right, man, fuck it.
The thing about it, though, Monty, is at first he had this really shitty indie look to him, and they did like they had that mathematics motif, if you remember, and they kind of toned that down once you know the paint splatter dropped. Yeah, they dropped that aspect of it, and now he's just a guy in a Power Ranger costume doing like technical wrestling, and that's like Mexico right there, you know. So. Yeah, you know, I think he could actually be pretty marketable for the kiddies if they were to call him up. I know he's really drastically undersized. These two guys look like they were 5'3" in there, you know, but he's so good that I think he's almost undeniable because of how good he is in the ring.
Yeah, speaking of small guys who are very, very good, of course, Bate as well in there with him. So he can do like the feats of strength and stuff. So, like, in some ways, like, his lack of height and stuff kind of plays into his advantage because it makes it even more impressive when he can, you know, like, do the airplane spot with Dabakato like he did last week. But that's kind of, like, the thing he has going for him when we're talking about, like, his size and stuff. But Axiom's good, man. Axiom's really good. They're both really good. And, you know, hopefully they get, like, a real chance, you know. What else do we have? Creed Brothers versus Idris and Nofe and Manic Blade. Nice little tag match, you know.
Yeah. I love this.
Yeah, man. Just a couple athletes in there, you know.
I actively love this episode, this match. I think Blade and Nofe are ridiculously underrated, and I think they should be featured on TV much more than they are. I love the layout of this too. It was not like a basic kind of shine heat comeback, open up with a collar elbow tie up layout. Like no, they just you got the immediate like you know blockbuster, the dive to the outside, the elbow drop, you know try to get a quick jump start thing with the high spots. Yeah, I just was a fan of this. The Creeds are so fun. You know, Julius Creed coming in there and belly to bellying everybody and doing the kip ups when he does it, and then the fucking Doomsday Brutus Ball thingy as the finish. They're just a good time, you know. And if you notice under the surface, the tag division is bubbling a little bit. You know, they have a couple teams that are vying for these tag belts. You have the Garzas, you got the Creeds, you got Tony D and his guy. Yeah, they're doing some things, and then AOP is going to come into this scene, and should be some decent stuff there. So.
Yeah, man. We had, as you kind of mentioned earlier, Mello, Trick. They were in the locker room and they were talking some things over, and things seem like good vibes between them. You know, any tensions have been eradicated, and yeah, Trick Mello on the same page, not together, not fully together again, but they're still boys, man. They're still boys, but in the background of all this, Wes Lee is clearing out all of his stuff from the locker room like he's about to leave. And then a couple segments later, he's seen leaving the building. His girl's waiting for him. And he says that he's done. He said that if he couldn't make it on the No Mercy card, because of course he's had a couple losses lately. If he can't make it on the No Mercy card, then he's done. And he didn't make it on the No Mercy card because he lost to Ilya Dragunov earlier in the night. And he took his ball and went home. He cleared all his stuff out, cleared out his locker, cleared out all the stuff from the locker room, and
what a fucking pussy! What the fuck was this? What the fuck was this?
He gone.
He
he walked out and he looked really sad. And
what was this? He loses a match and he's just fucking being he's like walking all sullen. He's backstage when Mello and Trick are talking and he's all like cleaning his shit out and looking all sad. His girlfriend's waiting at the back door. I'm like, why is she supporting this? Right? I'm like, he's gonna become. Why is she supporting? No, what is this? She's just sitting there like, oh, come here, babe, and he fucking walks off all depressed, kisses her, and then just quits his job because he lost the match. I'm watching this. I'm like, grow the fuck up. Like, what? This is not sympathetic at all. What the fuck?
I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing. And a lot of people thinking maybe he's getting called up because Cora Jade did something similar recently, didn't she? She was like, oh, I'm done with this place, and just walked out of there, got her shit out of the locker room and got off out of there. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're cooking there, but I do know what they were cooking in the main event. Tiffany Stratton versus Becky Lynch for the NXT Women's Championship. Becky Lynch wins the NXT Women's Championship for the first time in her career, becoming a WWE Grand Slam champion in a very, very, very good main event. And there was a lot to like about this. Because, of course, getting a lot of eyes on Tiffany Stratton. She's been able to show up on Raw recently to do, nothing crazy, nothing like a crazy big live angle that they were doing on Raw or anything, but they've been managed to plant in some seeds, The main roster audience has been able to see Tiffany Stratton in a few segments. Ibu, you was telling me literally yesterday that one of your friends saw her for the first time on Raw and was like, whoa, who's this? So, and, yeah, like I said, a few more eyes on Tiffany Stratton, a lot more eyes on Tiffany Stratton, and build to this big match. Becky Lynch, of course, is going to, you would assume, pop a decent rating for NXT with the match last night. More eyes on the product and on the talent, and they had a really good match. And really good clash of styles, I thought, especially like with Tiffany Stratton being kind of like the young, greener, perfect athlete, everything she tries, she can do. Everything she does looks kind of like gracious and athletic. And Becky Lynch is more kind of like the veteran star, a lot more gritty, rough around the edges. Stuff doesn't look quite as like clean and perfect. And, Becky Lynch led this match because, of course, and they had a really good match, one of the best matches of Tiffany Stratton's career. And Becky Lynch does it again, back-to-back great matches with Zoe Stark in the Falls Count Anywhere, or whatever match it was, or No Holds Barred, or something like that. Trish Stratus in the cage match, and now this with Tiffany Stratton winning the NXT bout. So there was a lot to like about this, wasn't there, Reba? Tiffany Stratton's a big star on the come up.
Bro, this was awesome. This was the best match of the show, easily for me, and it just felt real in the sense that it was big time, no pun intended. The crowd was really, really up for this. You could tell they could feel the weight of Becky Lynch's star power. She's in there, and these fans are jacked up. They know they're about to see something really, really big time here. And there was just a main event weight and drama to this. It's very dramatic, this is tense. Real tension. You know what I mean? The atmosphere was great because of that. The PC turned into fucking just electric for this. These people were kind of just chilling, having a decent time for the middle of the show. This match happened, and they're so dialed in and they're so loud and shit, right? But yeah, this was the peaks and valleys. Look, I think people sometimes don't get Becky when it comes to her in ring, and they'll sometimes talk down about it. But she's not a clean worker sometimes, and she's not super athletic, but she's a thinking man's wrestler. And she's very astute at recognizing what her strengths are, playing to her strengths, utilizing her star power within the match. And
being in the moment,
being in the moment.
That's what wrestling is. That's what it's supposed to be, bro. I can't say enough good things about Becky Lynch at the moment, to be honest. Carry on.
Yes. It was just real shit, man. This was her best match since the Hell in a Cell 2022 three-way with Asuka and Bianca. That was the last match better than this. But this was just a great wrestling match, genuinely. And so good that I was just convinced watching it that Tiffany Stratton was ready. Like she was just straight up ready. This would not be unfitting on a WWE main roster pay-per-view. So that's saying something. She looked more put together than like Raquel did in her 2 matches against Rhea Ripley, who like gave you signs and pieces and bits, but wasn't fully put together. Tiff looked put together. She stayed in there. She hung in there with Becky. She didn't look lost. She didn't appear like the moment was kind of too big for her. And yeah, what a piece of business, right? Towards the end, when she does the leg drop on the announce table and drags in, does another leg drop, and it's a kick out. Or and Tiff Stratton does a gorgeous picture perfect swanton bomb. You know, the PME, which is always it's always so nice. She's a stud. She's a stud, and Becky Lynch, she has, you know, that's professional pride. Becky, she when the moment matters and it counts, and she needs to deliver, she doesn't stink it up. I can't look. Sometimes on TV, she's like, you know, like whatever, but I do think she has enough professional pride to wear it. When it's an important wrestling match for her, she really does work her ass off to make it good. So yeah, I thought this was the best match of the show, and it made watching the show worth it. I thought this was really, really good.
Really good bit of business, I thought, but there has been quite a bit of discourse today that it wasn't a good bit of business either, and there's a lot of people who seem very strongly against the idea that Becky Lynch has defeated Tiffany Stratton. But I would say that I'm not against it at all. If, you know, of course, if they go into a program as you would expect, and Tiffany Stratton goes to win the belt back off Becky on like a pay-per-view, whether it's No Mercy or the one after that, I'm not mad at it yet, you know? If this is just a one and done and Tiffany Stratton is out of the title scene and she doesn't get a rematch with Becky, then yeah, I can absolutely understand why people would be so like adamantly against it. But as I've already touched on, you know, Becky Lynch is great, and Tiffany Stratton being mixed in with Becky Lynch, especially someone with the star power of Becky Lynch, because let's be real, Becky Lynch is genuinely like, she's quite literally one of, if not the biggest women's star in professional wrestling today. So, you know, just Tiffany Stratton being able to mix up with her, it's going to get extra eyes on her. She's been able to make some cameos on Raw. Hopefully they continue, like I said, if the feud and the program continues like I expect. And yeah, more eyes on Tiffany Stratton. And if they're working a program and it's not a one and done, then it would be hard. It'd be quite tough to have Becky Lynch lose, you know, because I guess the natural way of doing it is you have Becky Lynch win the first one and Tiff wins the rematch, you know, and that's how you end up with Tiffany back with the title on NXT, and you're not stuck with Becky Lynch with the title on NXT after already finishing a program with Tiffany. So, of course, if it's one and done, then I can understand why people would be so mad about it. But if they're going into a program, then this is quite literally like the logical start. And if you're a big Tiffany Stratton fan, much like I am, I don't think I need to kind of go over that again. Those of you who have been watching these streams on Wrestle Purist with myself on and will know for a long, long time, I bought Tiffany Stratton stocks very early when she was still spending money on her dad's credit card, you know. So I just think if it's a program, then Tiffany Stratton stock is going to go up in the program with Becky Lynch, especially if she ends up coming out of it with winning the belt back. And I think that's even better than just Tiffany Stratton just beating her straight up in no program, you know. And yeah, if you're a Tiffany Stratton fan, it would have been lovely if Tiffany Stratton just beat her straight up first, then they run it back on pay-per-view, and Tiffany Stratton just beats her again. But this is quite literally one of the biggest stars in the business in Becky Lynch, so I'm not outraged that Becky Lynch beat Tiffany Stratton last night. I don't know how much of the discourse and the discussion of that you've seen it, but where do you kind of find yourself on it?
Yeah, a lot of people are being really dumb about this. I think a lot of the people kind of choosing to have takes are taking just the booking decision super literally and aren't really paying attention to what's happening here with NXT. Bro, she just they're trying to pop ratings to fucking raise the value of this for the next TV rights deal, and beyond that, Tiffany Stratton wrestling Becky Lynch is a rub in and of itself. I saw people throwing the word burial around, and
people love that word now. You just throw it around, bro. Tiffany's buried.
I can't remember the last time anybody was buried on wrestling TV. Like you'd have to go back to when remember when
Top
Ali
Dollar
what
when when Top Dollar entered that match and just got fucking
yes.
Sheamus just big booted
Yes, that
him.
was the burial. Ali, do you remember when Ali kept getting lawn darted by Bobby Lashley every time he kept trying to challenge for the U.S. title? Like Bobby would just throw him around. And
bro, remember when Brock Lesnar he interrupts a promo before he's about to go out to the live crowd and he turns to Mustafa Ali and he's like, "Get a life, kid."
Yeah. See, Ali is the most buried modern wrestler of all time. Like he gets buried every couple months. Get a life, kid was crazy.
But yeah, people throwing that word around buried, and it's like I don't see it at all, bro. Like Tiffany Stratton, I think her stock has gone up from last night. There was a lot of people. Someone said in the live chat earlier in a super chat, your friend that I mentioned earlier that saw Tiffany Stratton for the first time on Raw said that he was going to tap into NXT for the first time in a while.
Yes.
There was a lot of that I saw people tapping in because Becky Lynch was wrestling a title match against a star that they've at least heard good things about with Tiffany Stratton. So I thought, we'll check it out. And if you watched it last night, I think it's very safe to say that they absolutely delivered, and you'd come out of that thinking Tiffany Stratton's a real player. And like I said, I think her stock's actually gone up even in the loss. And, I thought, like I said, a good bit of business in my opinion. And ideally, and I assume and expect that the program continues and Tiffany Stratton eventually wins the belt back off Becky. And along the way, she's going to be showing up on Raw. She's going to be doing this. They're probably going to tweet back and forth.
They should run this back in the main event of No Mercy.
Yeah, I think they could definitely get away with doing that. But Ilya versus Carmelo is, thought you said Dave could do that on 4 3/4 stars, brother.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I'm happy with where we're at as long as it continues like I assume. But I've got no real reason to think that this is it for Tiffany and Becky. I know Becky won clean, but Tiffany is a heel, and I'm sure they'll figure out a way of getting a rematch on track. So very good bit of business here, I thought. A very good match. As one of Tiffany Stratton's first big fans in the podcast world, I'll say I'm very calm and very excited and optimistic with where we're going with this. But yeah, NXT, like you said, really good shows. Next week we've got Carmella versus Dom. We've got Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
Someone sending super chats for it,
They need to cheat and just change. They need to change the time limit on that one. Oh my god, what if they can't do that. I was gonna say, what if they did like a draw? What if they did some type of device to make a 3-way, but you can't really do that in the Heritage Cup.
Nah, bro.
But
you sound like Vince or something.
Yeah, right. But Bate and Dunn's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be awesome for sure.
Yeah. Another good episode of NXT. Like I was saying at the top end of the show, they've picked up quite a lot of momentum lately, and people are into it, man, and people are tuning in, trying it. People are trying it out again for the first time. And if you was one of those people last night, you got a good few good matches. Axiom versus Bate, really good solid TV match. Really good solid TV match in that actually. Fraser versus Tozawa, really good little sprint. The main event was phenomenal. The opener was really, really good. It had Ilya Dragunov and Wesley. A couple little tag matches with some developmental talent. There's some good stuff going on.
They're doing awesome. I was joking last night on Discord. Someone said to me, Mati, a lot of Rob's bits end up it's like reality. He speaks these things into existence sometimes. And when he started the whole NXT good bit, NXT was not good. But it's become a bit of a consistently fun and quirky show here. So more power to Mr. Rob from Stanford.
Yeah, something like that. Will Chisholm, Got a few super chats here, all $5. We're going to go through them. Appreciate it as always, brother. Do y'all think Becky might be doing a few NXT for a few months, working with other women like Roxanne, Blair, etc.? I think she's just going to do the Tiffany program, to be honest.
That's all you need. That's all you need. We don't need to start. You know, we don't need to get.
Kiana James got in her face, so I think that'll be like. I think she'll be on the shows and stuff. Like, it wouldn't surprise if she has a match with Kiana James next week or something. You know, but I think Tiffany will be like the only program. But who knows? Who knows? I could be wrong about all this. The match last night could be a one and done, and Becky goes on and does what you've said in the super chat. Like, you know, she mixes it up with your Roxanne, your Blair Davenport, your whoever else. You know, but we'll see. Another one from Will. Appreciate you again. It feels like HBK looks at these workers and says, "I wish I could do the dance at Japan and Mexico." I mean, he's trying to do something. You know, he's cooking something. Shout out Shawn Michaels, man. Another one from Will. You know it's going to get real when Cody has a match in NXT. We know it's going to happen at some point. They will treat him like Dusty came back. I'm ready for it, brother.
Monty, you know what they should do? Monty, who did Cody get jumped by on Raw this week?
Dom.
It wasn't just Dom.
Dom JD.
Who
got him? Bro, the segment was that insignificant. I can't even remember it that well. I just remember that Cody cut a promo. Dom and JD came out, and Cody ended up beating him up.
That's what happened. Yeah, but the point I'm making is maybe Cody calls in a favor, brings in Mello, who was his training buddy when he was recovering from the pec injury. Next week's Raw. Let's do Mello and Cody versus JD and Dom. You know, and then you plug NXT for the next night. Dom versus Mello, and you know, Cody could do the whole condescending put over of the guy. You know, he holds his arm up and he's just like, "Yeah, man, you know, this kid's doing pretty good." You know, I say do it.
Mavs fan, 199. Appreciate you as always. Either you enjoy reviewing the shows more live or taped.
What does he mean by that?
I don't know.
We don't tape reviews.
We don't tape, baby. You know, the only time we tape is if we've got an interview. But I guess I don't know. Maybe he's talking about like your tweets. You know,
yeah,
how like you get home and you'll review Dynamite like at whatever time.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't watch anything live. I'll tell you what, I do enjoy the shows live a bit better, to be honest with you, because I watch these shows sometimes at like 2 like if you guys notice, sometimes I watch these Dynamites at like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm just fucking tired, you know. And as you guys can see from British wrestling fans, you know, it's hard to enjoy things when you're tired. You know, it makes you a little more grumpy, a little more annoyed. You know, shenanigan style segments. You're just sitting there like, what is this? What is this shit? You know, but. You know, I'll tell you what. If I didn't watch Raw live, I might hate it. You know, so I might hate it. I'm off on Monday, so I'm just sitting there and it's on my TV and Alpha Academy's there, and I'm like, yeah, you know, this is a pretty decent time. So yeah, look, if I could watch everything live, that'd be great. You know, I review it late. You know, out of just that's just what the situation is for me right now. But yeah, I'd love to watch all these shows live. I hate having to watch a pay-per-view back after I missed it live. That really sucks. You gotta go through like 4 hours later. Really sucks.
Yeah. I hear you on the pay-per-view one, definitely. TV's a bit more bearable. What else we want to talk about? We've got Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson said a few things, of course. You know, a lot of talk about him winding down and slowing down, including from himself directly, you know. Not going to be full-time for much, much longer. But yeah, he done an interview with Sports Illustrated and kind of just talked about his future in wrestling. Saying, I've got a few quotes here, one of them being, I don't think I'll ever reach a point where I declare I'm absolutely done. I want the ability to show up when I want to show up. Terry Funk is someone I always admired. He retired a million times, but he loved doing it so much he couldn't help but keep doing it. Yeah, it seems like he's going to stick around for a while, even if it isn't full time, you know. And he, you know, he talked about wanting to be around for his daughter. He said that in this next stretch, he was talking about like what he would maybe like to do. Like he said, he didn't get a chance to do All In this year. He'd like to have that chance next year. He's got the Wrestle Dream show coming up October 1, and maybe they'll do it again next year in Seattle, and maybe it will be then that he hangs it up full time. He also said that there was a realization over the past year that he's getting hurt after every big match that he has, and that's a sign. He loves wrestling, but he doesn't want it to affect his long-term health. What else have we got? He said, always thought I'd wrestle until the day I die, but it's not going to be this regular weekly wrestling. And yeah, nothing too shocking in the interview. A few cool quotes, like, of course, him saying that, he thought he'd wrestle until the day he dies. Of course, him comparing himself to like Terry Funk and stuff like that. Like, there was a few cool quotes in there, but nothing overly surprising, was it, either?
What did I tell you guys on Monday?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, he's not going to drop this game, man. He's going to continue to wrestle when he's old. That's just what he's going to do.
And it's going to be good wrestling as well, because
he's already reneging on his original plan to stop his full-time career in May. Now, Monty, the word is around August is when I'll stop being a full-time. He does this every time, guys. He does this every time. Bryan Danielson is physically and mentally incapable of retiring from pro wrestling. He's going to say, guys, my daughter and Birdie and, May. Then he turned it to August. You know what's going to happen in August, Monty? He's going to extend it to the end of the year. Then he's going to be like, you know what? I really do want to go to the Tokyo Dome. And he's going to do it. And then they're going to add injury time to his contract because he's missed so much time. And Tony's going to be like, technically, you got a couple more months. And then he's going to be like, yeah, you know what? I do want to work Okada again. I do want to work this guy. You know what's going to happen, guys? In the middle of all of this, he's going to hope you forgot that he said he's going to retire. He's going to keep wrestling because he loves wrestling. He says, how many times does he have to tell you, I like getting hit hard because it makes me feel alive, for you to realize this guy's a sicko. It's a sickness. He can't stay away. He can't. So, you guys can do the eulogies and the Danielson posts. I'm chilling because I know he's not retiring. I witnessed him literally say, like, on like Talking Smack in 2020, like, yeah, man, it's getting to be that time. My body and my family and And then he didn't retire. He does this every 2 years. He's Terry Funk. He's the new Terry Funk, a GOAT level wrestler who thinks he's going to retire and then changes his mind once he gets closer to the date. He's not going anywhere.
What other news notes have I got before we get into the Dynamite preview? Frank Riddick, I believe he was a WWE CFO. He's departing the company. He's just made a $5 million bonus with all this merger business going down and being finalised. So he's going out on a very financial high. Yeah, good for him, I guess. He's moving on to other things.
That nigga said, y'all can keep all this. Give me that $5 million. Peace out. I'm out. I'll live with this.
God bless. We already talked Nick Khan being asked about CM Punk. He also said that he wishes Stephanie McMahon didn't decide to leave, which was interesting.
Who said this?
Nick Khan. I'll read the quote here.
He's an artist,
on the Bill Simmons podcast, Nick Khan said, ultimately, when Vince came back, she decided she was ready to go and step out. I respected the decision. I wish she hadn't have done that. And she knows that from me personally. She's a terrific executive and a terrific person. That's her decision. Her relationship with Vince is theirs. And when she made it, I have full respect for the decision. When he talks about when she made it, he means the announcement that she's, of course, stepping away from WWE. But Nick Khan, everyone seems to be a big fan of Stephanie who worked for WWE, to be honest.
Yeah, so. It's consistent with what I was hearing, which is that, like, everybody loved Steph, and she was such a fun vibe, being there. I kind of got this vibe that, like, she wasn't a huge X's and O's, like, like technical kind of wizard or savant. But she was a great face for speaking for the company, and internally she was basically the face of, like, workers' rights. I said this before, because she's the one that came in and would be like, you guys want an extra day off this week? Or like, you guys technically, if you want, you don't got to come to TV if you're not booked for TV and things like that. And so she was the face of basically, like, days off and rest and extra pay and back pay and things like that. And guys, you could get paid for da-da-da. And, guys, for those of you that did work the loop last week, you're also entitled to da-da-da. And people are like, oh, hell yeah, Steph. All right, I'll take another couple $2,000 this week. Things like that. So she's liked because of it.
Yeah, I've said everyone, I haven't seen much ill will being made against her since she's left WWE. So, also, as I already kind of mentioned, the Royal Rumble 2024 is set for Tampa Bay, Florida. And one of the things noted in the announcement that Roman Reigns is not on the advertising as of yet. So we'll see where that goes. AEW Dynamite tonight. Where are we? We're in Cincinnati, Ohio. The ticket sales for this weren't great, but in true AEW Dynamite fashion, I expect the small crowds that they've had lately to still make a lot of noise, and still get a lot of heat for the matches that need it. The matches that we will be looking at are Roderick Strong, Samoa Joe, Hangman Adam Page versus Brian Cage, Jon Moxley, Big Bill, and Britt Baker, DMD versus Shida versus Nyla Rose versus Toni Storm. Winner gets Saraya at Grand Slam. What else we got? No, let's start with the matches. Start with the women's match. Fuck it. Who are we expecting to win here, Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Shida, Nyla? Who you got? If you're in the chat, if you're in the chat, give us some. I want predictions. I want predictions. You going with Britt?
Mm-hmm.
You're going with Britt. I'll go with. I'll go with Toni. I'll go with Toni for the sake of. That's who I genuinely think it is. I was going to say for the sake of picking someone different too, but I actually think it's going to be Toni. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe we get an angle or something, but my guess at the moment, I'm going with Toni. I'm going with Toni Storm. She's going to be the one to face her at Grand Slam. Because, she's been acting really weird with the Outcast girls and costing them matches and all kinds of stuff, and see what happens. This could be good, Ibo, or it could be very not so good, I don't know, man.
Wait, which match?
This Britt Baker, Shida, Nyla Rose, Toni Storm match. I think the multi-women matches are usually, they're all right.
Yeah, could be fun. Could be fun, yeah.
Could be fun. Yeah. Hangman versus Brian Cage, number 3. These two always have good matches, don't they, Bill?
This is gonna probably rock. They have great chemistry. Their Double or Nothing match is amazing.
Yeah, they're gonna whack each other.
They're just gonna whack each other, do hard hitting stuff. Oh my god, I remember Hangman went for a buckshot lariat, and then Brian Cage hoisted him up in a fireman's carry and did like a jackhammer or something. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm excited for this.
Moxley versus Big Bill. I like this one. Big Bill. He just seems I've said that I want Moxley to be fighting people with a bit more credibility and stuff. Him starting this reign with AR Fox and Action Andretti didn't fill me with a lot of optimism. And Big Bill's not like a main eventer or anything like that, but he's big. So when Moxley's selling for him and shit, and Moxley's struggling to get the upper hand against him, it makes a lot more sense than when it's someone like an Action Andretti or even an AR Fox. It's he, like I said, a bit more credible, because he's big. He looks the part, and Big Bill. He's been having some decent matches lately, some good performances and stuff.
I'm hoping this is the end of the streak of boring Moxley TV matches, and I think it will be because it's not just Shitter High Flyer versus John, or John is having to dominate the guy. Now John's gonna have to work from underneath, and that'll be an interesting dynamic. We haven't seen John work from underneath in a long time. He's a big bad fucking killer, So I'm looking forward to this too.
1, 2, 3. Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe. Of course, the big man event to see faces MJF at Grand Slam, the tournament final as well. The big man Samoa Joe versus Roderick Strong, Nick Strong.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't actually. I think Joe's gonna win. I think.
I'm
But
not
I
sure.
wouldn't be like stunned or shocked at either of the men winning, to be honest, because as it's been built, of course, both of them have been, you know, feuding in some way, somehow with MJF, you know, whether that's because of Roderick Strong's jealousy or Samoa Joe just kind of picking a fight with the champ. Both have been really good, and you know, like I said, I couldn't blame anyone for picking either of the men in this match. Well, I'll go with Samoa Joe because he's my guy. You know, even though Roderick Strong is also my guy, I'm expecting this to be pretty incredible, to be honest. What about you, Ibo?
I think Roddy's gonna find a way to. Ugh! It's because, bro, they have the Seattle pay-per-view, and this is for Grand Slam. So Seattle, fuck. I think Roddy's gonna find a way to eke out a win here, Monty. I think Roddy's gonna find a way to eke out a win. It might be a little gimmicky.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. The match itself is going to be great, though, I'm sure. All right, a couple of segments. We hear from Les Sex Gods. Of course, they're having a match at Grand Slam. I guess we can all pretty much guess where that one's going. Don Callis reveals his next masterpiece. Don Callis is an artist. You know, what do you think it is? You got any guesses?
I don't know. I asked AEW who this was, and they wouldn't tell me. They would not tell me.
His next masterpiece, you know.
Yeah, they wouldn't tell me.
But yeah, man, pretty good Dynamite on paper. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, only 4 matches," but maybe another match gets added. Maybe another match has already been added, and Tony Khan's already done a tweet. You see, we've been live, so I haven't been able to see anything. But
no, the live chat would have told us that they added a match.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, 4 matches, 2 lives, 2. I don't know if there'll be live segments, but 2 segments announced. So pretty decent Dynamite on paper, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we will be watching it over on our Twitch with the Dynamite Watch Along, hosted by Big AO. What else have we got to say? Thursday, Dynamite review. Friday on Purist. Saturday, Open Day. Sunday, Face Off podcast with Ibu, Isra, and AO. And also Dumb Guy Live a bit earlier in the day on Sundays. But yeah, man, I appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Watch me and Ibu just talk a bit of graps, review NXT, do a little Dynamite preview, talk a little bit of news. Our new little Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon shows. You know, we appreciate the people coming out for them because I know a lot of people are probably, some of you might be at work right now or something. You know, you've just got us in your earphones and we appreciate you tapping in. Some of you might be at home. I don't know what you're doing, but afternoon slot, not exactly prime time slot, and we still get like well over 100 people in these streams. And we always have a great live chat, as I always like to say. So we appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Please like the video on your way out. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We've appreciated all the super chats. You guys have been great. Turn on post notifications. And like I said, we will be back later tonight on Twitch to do AEW Dynamite Watch Along hosted by AO. But yeah, like the video. Peace out. See you later.